And finally, Mr. Granoff.
Yeah, I'm trying to rip through this. Nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons are intrinsically violate international humanitarian law because they can't distinguish between civilians and combatants. Less than 1% of the arsenals, if they were used, would throw at least 5 million tons of soot into the stratosphere and end civilization. The legal duty to negotiate elimination is embodied in Article 6 of the NPT, the unanimous ruling of the International Court of Justice. So I would say that nuclear weapons are already illegal, and the codification of that is the Treaty on the Prohibition. But there needs to be much, much, much more pressure on the states with nuclear weapons to stop holding the rest of the world underneath this horrible hazard. The more you perfect the weapon, the less security you obtain. There needs to be pressure on this issue of changing from the military paradigm that was so clearly articulated by the parliamentarian from Canada. Prepare for war, receive peace, prepare for peace, receive war. This Roman adage from the 5th century is not applicable today. In fact, it's kind of crazy. The more you perfect these weapons, the less security you get. Now, Chapter 5, Article 26 of the Charter says that the military staff committees are to prepare a plan to reduce military expenditures for peace and development. Now, that can't be vetoed. That's a legal obligation of the Security Council. And for years, I've been watching the UN, and the only leader who's ever pushed it was the former president of Costa Rica, Oscar Arias, when he chaired the Security Council. I would urge that every single parliament in the world should demand compliance with the existing legal duty of the Security Council to do this. It's not an option. It's not a resolution. It's a legal requirement in the Charter. I would say that SDG 16 is the key one because that's the one that deals with good governance. Good governance is the function of parliamentarians. And here's an example of it. The Netherlands. The Netherlands has less than 18 million people, 17,000 square miles, 26% of the country is below sea level, and yet, because of the governance and social cohesion, it's the second largest food exporter in the world. And the difference is it's good governance. If you look at the region where Costa Rica is, you can see which country is thriving. It's a matter of good governance, and that's the role of parliamentarians. And last but not least, one of the major concepts that needs changing, particularly with respect to the issue of responsibility, is our duty to the global commons, the living systems we all depend upon. And in traditional property law, there's one of the rights of property ownership is the right of destruction. I own a house. I can burn it down. I don't have a legal duty to give it to my kids. Of course, I have a sense of responsibility. We can't expand the right of destruction to the global commons. The global commons cannot be treated as a property. And so it's kind of an honor for me to be sitting next to Ambassador Chen, who was successful, and I think this is really important, in getting the General Assembly to explicitly recognize that a clean, sustainable environment is a human right. No one has a right to own the global commons. It is a human right that we all share. And I think that that's very important that we bring that right to a clean environment into our national legislative bodies.
Thank you.
Thank you.